Welcome to the XFO Intelligence Podcast. Today we are looking at a hard truth about Hong Kong's future. The traditional middle-class playbook is breaking down. For decades, the social contract felt simple. Study hard. Build a professional career. Buy a home. Work steadily upward. Invest heavily in your children's education. For generations, that formula symbolized security, dignity, and progress. But for many middle-class households in Hong Kong, especially those earning around 50,000 to 80,000 Hong Kong dollars a month, that formula no longer produces stability. Instead, it produces strain. It creates pressure without protection. And increasingly, it creates what can best be described as delicate poverty. Delicate poverty is not obvious poverty. It is the condition of looking financially secure on paper while being dangerously exposed in reality. A household can have respectable income, good credentials, and a disciplined lifestyle, and still be one shock away from serious decline. A job loss, a medical emergency, a family care burden, a housing setback, a broader economic slowdown. Any one of these can tip a family from fragile stability into lasting insecurity. That is why this is not a story about personal failure or reckless spending. It is a structural problem. These families often earn too much to qualify for meaningful public support, but too little to comfortably absorb private market costs. They sit above many safety nets, yet below true financial resilience. The result is a middle class that is permanently squeezed. And if we want to understand the real issue, we have to stop talking only about income and start talking about resilience. The challenge facing Hong Kong is not just how to help the middle class earn more, it is how to help the middle class survive shocks, preserve optionality, and avoid irreversible downward mobility. That requires a shift away from fragile optimization and toward anti-fragile resilience. Let's start with policy. The first institutional problem is the welfare cliff. In many systems, support is structured through rigid income thresholds. If a family falls just below the line, it may qualify for housing, healthcare, childcare, or educational support. But if it rises slightly above that threshold, support can disappear abruptly. In practical terms, earning a bit more can actually make a family more vulnerable. That is irrational. The solution is not to expand dependency. The solution is to redesign support so it declines gradually, not suddenly. A sliding scale system would preserve incentives, reward mobility, and reduce the fear of marginal progress. The second policy shift is to decommodify the essentials of family reproduction. Housing, education, and elder care cannot be treated purely as status-driven private market goods if policymakers want a stable middle class. When every essential becomes a competition, families burn cash simply trying not to fall behind. Hong Kong needs stronger, credible, mid-tier public and subsidized options that are high quality, widely trusted, and socially normalized. If the only respectable choices are financially punishing choices, fragility becomes inevitable. Third, the system should help middle-income families build buffers before a crisis hits. One idea is a portable resilience account, jointly matched by employers and the state, that can only be tapped during verified stress events, such as involuntary job loss or major medical need. The purpose is simple: prevent temporary shocks from turning into permanent collapse. Fourth, policy should make cross-border living more practical. Hong Kong's physical constraints are real, but households do not have to organize their entire lives within one expensive geography. Better integration with the Greater Bay Area, including healthcare recognition, elder care access, educational pathways, and smoother tax arrangements, could dramatically expand the room families have to lower costs without sacrificing earning power. Now let's turn to the private sector. Business leaders should understand that a fragile middle class is not someone else's problem. It directly affects talent retention, consumer demand, and long-term competitiveness. One major issue is the hidden cost of presenteeism. Requiring employees to commute into expensive business districts day after day imposes a quiet tax in time, money, and energy. Hybrid work and outcome-based performance are not just flexible management trends, they are resilience tools. They reduce burnout, cut employee costs, and often improve productivity at the same time. A second shift is recognizing the rise of the portfolio economy. The old model of one employer and one uninterrupted career path is weakening. Many skilled professionals now seek income through multiple channels: consulting, project work, teaching, digital products, or fractional leadership roles. Instead of resisting this, companies can build talent ecosystems around it. Strong alumni networks, flexible contracts, and project-based re-engagement can allow firms to access expertise more efficiently while helping professionals diversify risk. Third, businesses need to pivot from prestige-heavy consumption models to value-first models. There is a large and growing middle-class audience that still wants quality, but no longer wants to overpay for symbolism. The winning strategy is not artificial scarcity, it is trusted value. Products and services that are well-designed, transparent, practical, and priced for durability rather than image. And fourth, companies should replace superficial perks with structural support. Occasional wellness branding does not create resilient employees. Benefits that matter include flexible support for mental health, upskilling, mobility, or short-term emergency liquidity. A financially secure employee is usually a more focused and loyal one. Now, what about individuals and households? Even if policy takes time and corporations move unevenly, families can begin rewiring their own strategy now. The first principle is geo-arbitrage. In simple terms, separate where you earn from where you spend. If a household can preserve Hong Kong-linked or global income while anchoring major living costs, especially housing, education, or elder care, in more affordable Greater Bay Area cities such as Shenzhen or Zhuhai, the effect on monthly cash flow can be transformative. Lower fixed costs create room for savings, resilience, and strategic choice. The second principle is decentralizing income. One employer should not be the only pillar supporting an entire household. Professionals can build complementary streams through advisory work, specialist consulting, teaching, board roles, or digital offerings tied to their expertise. The point is not to chase hustle culture. The point is to reduce single-point failure. Third is the barbell strategy in personal finance. In uncertain conditions, the middle ground can be the most dangerous. A more resilient structure is to place most financial resources into highly liquid, very safe reserves that can cover a long stretch of essential expenses, while keeping a smaller share for high-upside investments in portable skills, networks, or digital assets that may unlock future earning power. And fourth, households need to cut the status tax. This may be the most emotionally difficult shift. It means auditing spending and honestly asking whether an expense creates real, long-term utility or merely signals success. Sometimes resilience is built less by earning more and more, by refusing to keep paying for appearances. So what does all this tell us? It tells us that Hong Kong's middle-class anxiety is not a personal anomaly. It is the predictable outcome of outdated rules colliding with a new economic landscape. But it also tells us that there is a path forward. When policymakers replace binary exclusion with proportional support, households gain predictability. When companies support flexibility, value, and employee resilience, they strengthen both talent and demand. And when individuals shift from fragile status optimization to strategic resilience, they regain margin for error, liquidity, and confidence. Resilience is no longer a private luxury. It is a shared economic imperative. The institutions, businesses, and households that understand this first will be the ones that define the next chapter of Hong Kong's prosperity. If you found this episode valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. For feedback, or if you would like to request more information about our new Thought Leadership on Demand service, email xfointelligence@gmail.com. And a brief disclaimer before we close. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It reflects analysis and opinion and should not be taken as financial, legal, medical, or investment advice. Thank you for listening.